So yeah, he remembers the whole situation very differently than I did, except I'm right and he's not. Hey everyone, it's your girl Layla. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another story time. I've been kind of on a roll with these lately because I do have a lot of stories to tell, and most of this stuff happened in between the years of like 2012 and 2014. There's just a lot that happened in between those years. So most of my story times are from that era, but in today's video, I'm going to be doing a story time from high school. This was the late 2000s, I would say. It was when I was in high school, I think. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, if you guys are not already subscribed, please go ahead, click the subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and make sure you turn on your bell notifications to be notified when I upload. Also, please leave a like on this video because it really helps me a lot. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh my goodness, you guys. Today is a day. Like, I'm just not really feeling 100%. I got my COVID vaccine, the second dose, yesterday. So I'm just not really feeling like myself today. But I did want to film a couple videos for the week. So hopefully I remember most of the details in this video. I have a good memory when it comes to useless information, like stuff that's happened to me in the past when people have screwed me over. But I'm not the type of person to hold grudges at all. I just remember when things happen to me like this. I also remember people's birthdays, like everyone's birthday. I don't know why, but if you tell me what your birthday is one time, I'll most likely remember it. So yeah, in today's video, I'm gonna be doing a story time on my best friend in high school and the guy that I had a crush on. So we're gonna name my best friend in this video. We're gonna call her Michelle. And the guy, my crush, let's call him Steve. Michelle and Steve. Okay, that works. That's not even close to his name, but that's a good thing. So basically, Michelle and I had a very interesting relationship and a very interesting falling out. She pretty much ghosted me after like grade 11. After this situation that I'm about to tell you, we worked it out and we were still friends after this, but we weren't as close. And then we kind of just fell off in like the end of grade 11, beginning of grade 12, that type of thing. So this girl, I thought I was gonna be friends with her forever. We were best friends in junior high. So I kind of just like, you know those years when you're like in your early teens and you're just, you know, really messed up in the head. You're going through puberty, you're going through all these changes in your life, and you have a friend that is with you through that whole thing. That was that friend for me. So I did think that we were gonna be friends for the rest of our lives. Apparently that didn't happen, not even close. So Michelle and I feel like had a pretty toxic friendship for the most part. You know, it was good, but then at the same time, she struggled with self-esteem issues a lot, like a lot. And me, myself, I struggled with self-esteem issues probably worse than she did. I think we were maybe near the same level. She just didn't have any self-confidence at all. It was rubbing off on me. Michelle was really pretty. She definitely was one of those girls that really wanted to hang out with the popular crowd. She really wanted to fit in. And the popular crowd in my school was mostly Asians, like 95% Asians. Michelle definitely hung out with the popular crowd sometimes. She wasn't with them like all the time, but she would hang out with them sometimes after school because they would just randomly go to the same place and they would start talking and everything. Michelle was definitely more of an extrovert than me. I was very like shy, very quiet, and I wasn't allowed to go out after school. I wasn't allowed to see my friends after school. My mom was just very strict and she really just wanted me to, you know, definitely succeed, do my homework. And I also had a weekend job at Superstore, which I probably should do story time on working there because it was an interesting job. It was definitely an interesting job. So I definitely had my plate really full back in high school to where I couldn't really hang out with Michelle after school or anything like that. She would kind of hang out with the more popular kids at that point in time, but I could just really tell she was just really wanting to fit in. She was always putting herself down, calling herself ugly, calling herself fat. She always had a boyfriend as long as I can remember. Probably since the age of like 13 or 14, she's had boyfriends. Like it would be like she would date someone for 6 months and then they would break up and she would have a new guy by like 2 days later. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like that's really the type of person that she was. She was very insecure. She was very hard on herself. She would always be in a relationship to kind of validate herself, I would say. That's the type of person that Michelle was. And at that point in time, like I said, I was really shy. I was really awkward. I will insert a picture of what I looked like back then. So, girl, I definitely had a glow up moment since then for sure. So my teeth were like such a mess. My mom worked 3 jobs to be able to afford to get me braces, which didn't happen until grade 11. So I had braces, I had crooked teeth, and I had acne. So I was just a whole mess. And I felt like Michelle was tripping. Like she was pretty. She was the pretty girl. She always had male attention, and me on the other hand, I was either made fun of or I was just invisible to guys. So whenever she was hard on herself, I was like extra hard on myself. I'm like, okay, if this girl thinks she's ugly, then I must be hideous. So enter Steve in the chat, shall we? So Steve and I met in gym class. We met first before he met Michelle, so he randomly just started talking to me. He started like giving me attention. He added me on MSN. MSN was super popular back then. So he added me on MSN Messenger. We would talk after school and I started like catching feelings. Out of anyone in my school, he was the only one that showed me attention. So I was like instantly, you know, a little bit captivated. I'm like, okay, I like this guy too. Like, I think he's cute or whatever. So then I also had gym class with Michelle. And I don't know how they didn't meet beforehand, but I think Steve and I had been talking for like 2 weeks to a month before he actually met Michelle. I'm not sure why. Oh, it's because our gym classes, it was like 3 different classes in one gym class. It was so weird. Do you guys remember the times when COVID wasn't a thing and you could literally have 300 people in the gym or more at one point in time? Like that was how my gym classes were. So there was like 3 gym classes at the same time and we would either share the gym or we had 2 gyms in my school. So I think one gym class would be in one gym, another one would be in the other gym, and then one would be outside. And then when it got cold outside, we would kind of all congregate into the big gym and do like group classes and stuff like that in the one gym with like 3 classes combined. And I'm pretty sure I'm exaggerating. I'm pretty sure there was like probably 90 to 100 people. There wasn't like 300, but I'm pretty sure there was at least 30 people in each gym class. And yeah, so we would have some classes that were together and some classes that were separate. So I guess that's why Michelle and Steve didn't meet until like 2 weeks to a month afterwards, because Michelle was in the same gym class as me, but I think maybe she was away or something when he started talking to me. I'm not sure. But when they did first meet, he instantly asked her for her MSN.
And I'm like, really, Michelle? Really? Like, you have a boyfriend right now. You've had the same boyfriend since junior high school. Like, I mean, it's some kind of record for you, right?
But apparently she was really getting bored of her relationship with this other guy. And her and Steve also started talking on MSN. And your girl was kind of jealous, low-key, because like I said, she had a boyfriend. I never got any type of male attention except for this one guy that was talking to me. So I definitely opened up to Michelle like a few days later to a week later. I told her, oh yeah, I really like Steve, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, like, him and I have been talking a lot on MSN lately. I think I like him too. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is literally the second time. Well, this is the first time it happened, but it happened to me 2 times in my life where I have been screwed over by a Scorpio girl and a Gemini guy. Twice it happened to me. Tell me why. Tell me why. I keep getting screwed over by Scorpio girls and Gemini guys. I don't know why. So I was like,
oh, you know, like what about your boyfriend?
we're gonna call him Joey. Like, what about your boyfriend Joey? And she's just like, oh, I'm kind of getting bored of that relationship. Like, he's not really showing me attention. Like, we barely kiss or anything like that. We barely hang out anymore. So I don't really see him, only like between classes and stuff like that, which is not that much. And I kind of see him as more than a friend. But let me tell you, a year before, she was completely obsessed with Joey. Like, she would go to Joey's house after school. She would bother me to help her with Joey because Joey and I were the same ethnicity. So she was always like, can you help me out? Can you talk to Joey for me? Can you talk to Joey for me? Until Joey finally asked her out. But I'm just like,
What about all the hard work you put into, you know, talking to Joey?
but she was just like, no, I'm bored with him. I'm gonna break up with him. And I think that I'm gonna start dating Steve. And I'm like,
Girl, do you even care about me at all? Like, I started talking to Steve first. Like, what is going on?
so she did eventually break up with Joey because you can't have two boyfriends at the same time. And then I guess something hit her where she felt really bad for me, and I guess she realized the magnitude of what she was doing and she kind of felt bad for me. So she was just telling me, you know, like, oh, I really like Steve, blah, blah, blah. And then Steve at this point was still talking to me, but he made it very, very clear that he liked Michelle. And at that point, I was pretty heartbroken. I was like, oh, that really sucks. I'm just like the ugly friend. He asked me, on episode, I will never forget this. He asked me for my blessing to ask Michelle out because I'm Michelle's best friend and he knew that I liked him. He literally asked me for my blessing for them to start dating. So basically I said, you know, you don't need my blessing, you don't need my permission to ask Michelle out. If you want to do it, go for it. Like, I'm not her mother, I'm not her sister. I'm barely her friend at this point because I feel so betrayed by what she did to me. You don't need my permission to date Michelle. You really don't. You can go ahead and ask her out. I don't care. So I think Michelle actually ended up feeling really bad about the whole situation. She's like, oh my God, Steve asked me out, blah, blah, blah. But I think I'm gonna say no because I do have a lot of respect for you. And I know this is gonna hurt you really badly if I was to date him. And I'm like,
No, girl, I don't even like him anymore. Go ahead, go date him. I really don't care, whatever.
you know, like I was just like, just do it. Do whatever you want, basically. And she's like, no, we've been friends for this long. I think that, you know, I'm gonna say no to Steve. So eventually she said no to Steve, and Steve pretty much stopped talking to me. He would call me once in a while to chat on the phone, but other than that, like, me and him didn't really talk like that anymore. My friendship with Michelle kind of went downhill from there because I just realized some things about our friendship, like, again, her like insecurities about her looks, her insecurities about herself. It was just completely rubbing off on me. Hanging out with like a pretty girl that thought she was ugly, but then I actually felt ugly because of my appearance and like my acne and my teeth and all of that stuff. I just was kind of like, this friendship is just so toxic. I just can't anymore. And then so I met my best friend, which we're gonna call her Eloise. I don't know why, I just thought of Eloise. So Eloise and Michelle, they were also friends at that point in time, but she also was kind of like toxic with their friendship too. And Eloise is always the type of friend that tries to boost your self-esteem and your self-confidence, and Michelle was just not having it. Eloise would always like hype her up, like, girl, you're so pretty, girl, you're so pretty, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't need to be apologetic on how you look. You don't need to be apologetic on how you feel, all of this shit. She was just always like hyping her up, and Michelle really, really just didn't like that. I don't know why, because why wouldn't you want someone to hype you up, you know? So Michelle and I definitely fell off by like grade 11, grade 12. That really definitely kind of broke me because I was like, you know, being friends with somebody for like 5 years and then you basically, you know, you feel like you can survive anything because of the whole Steve and her situation. I was like, oh, maybe she really does care about me. And then, you know, like less than 6 months later, we're not even talking anymore. We're not even hanging out anymore. So yeah, that definitely was my first experience in losing a friend. It only happened one other time in my life, which I've already done a story time on it, so you guys can check that out in my story time playlist. It's called My Best Friend Stole My Man. That again was a whole situation with a Scorpio and a Gemini. I'm just like, if you're a Scorpio girl that tries to be my friend, I'm very, very, very cautious. I'm definitely more cautious now because of all the stuff that's happened to me in my past. So yeah, basically that was the end of our friendship. Steve and I, okay, Steve reached out to me after high school, after he saw my glow up happen. I feel like this guy was just so shallow and just so delusional. So after high school, he reached out to me. We talked for a little bit. And then back in like 2014, he reached out to me again. This was before I started dating Andy. We're basically like catching up and talking about our lives and everything like that. And he's like, oh, you know, have you heard from Michelle lately? Do you guys still talk? And I'm just like,
boy, no. Like, Michelle and I fell off like a while ago. We don't talk at all anymore.
So he was like, well, I've always thought that you were always prettier than Michelle. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But anyways, he remembered the whole situation differently, completely. He's like, I always liked you. And it always kind of weirded me out that this girl was showing me attention and I didn't know how to feel back then. I was just very young and you were showing me attention and I didn't know what to do with that, but I always really liked you. And do you want to go out and stuff like that? No, you did not like me back then. You liked my best friend. You liked my best friend. So I kind of played him a little bit because I just knew that I was never gonna, you know, want to date him. I was never gonna want anything with him at all. He actually like asked me to meet him for coffee at the mall or something. I actually pretended that I showed up, but I was actually hanging out with Eloise at that point in time. So I was like, oh yeah, like I'm at Starbucks right now. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? I'm like, I was never gonna meet you here too. Like, I wasn't gonna meet you there. Gemini guys, I've just never had luck with, and apparently Libras and Geminis are supposed to really click. I get along with Gemini girls, but Gemini guys, oh my goodness, so confusing. This actually happened with the other Gemini guy as well. He reached out to me after him and the Scorpio girl broke up, and I'm just like, why are you talking to me? Why are you trying to talk to me now? So yeah, he remembers the whole situation very differently than I did, except I'm right and he's not. So yeah, that is pretty much it for, I don't know what to title this story time, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.